our professionals and company supervisors, and we provide divorce coaching and case management, providing guidance and direction that your divorcing employees so desperately need. And as a reminder, today we have SHRM credits for SHRM members, and we will post a link to that at the end of the broadcast so that you can grab those. And today we are talking about driven to distraction, the loss in productivity due to divorce. With mediator, professional speaker on this very amazing topic is Judy Weigel. So let me introduce you to Judy. Judy has been a mediator for 12 years and in private practice family law for 10 years. Her company, Divorce Resource, provides both mediation and filing services for divorces, legal separations, paternity cases, post-judgment revisions of settlement agreements as a legal document assistant, a paralegal on steroids. Her mediation experiences include divorce and family mediation, community and personal mediation with the dispute resolution program at the Office of the Los Angeles City Attorney, and mediator and arbitrator with the Los Angeles County Bar Attorney Client Fee Dispute Program. Judy's philosophy is be honest and authentic, speak from the heart, and take responsibility for your actions. Welcome, Judy.
I'd like to meet that person you just introduced.
Isn't she fabulous? She's pretty fabulous. Well, I'm excited to have you here today. You and I have talked about this before, about the impact that the stress of divorce has on employees, what it does to their careers, to the company, and everybody else that's involved. And, you're an expert in this. Have you noticed a decrease in productivity or a lack of focus and a level of distraction in employees that are going through a divorce?
Absolutely. That's what brought me to this concept that I use and teach called Recipe for a Heart Healthy Divorce. My clients taught me everything. One day, years ago, I was talking to a female client on the phone, and she was explaining how stressed and depressed she was. I work a daytime shift. I have normal office hours. And all of a sudden it occurred to me, she's at work while she's telling me how stressed and depressed she was. And I said, you know what? Those of us in the divorce family law arena need to take notice of how our clients are doing. I mean, we're not mental health professionals unless we actually are therapists, but we work with people going through an emotional time. Why can't we reorganize how these people address divorce while they're trying to carry on their normal daily lives, work and family? And so that's what I set about to do, and give my clients permission not to call me back, not to email me from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go to work, live your life so that you can function and not get fired, be productive, or feel like you actually have to leave your job in order to survive while you're going through divorce. And Vicki, that's what they do. They're trying to survive.
Exactly right. This is, I'm trying to, create a very small sentence of what makes the employees, live up here before they get to somebody like you or me. And that is uncertainty. These people live in a constant state of uncertainty. And if you can put yourself into the shoes of those people for a moment, we talk about divorce so flippantly. Oh, they're getting a divorce. Well, what does that mean? What it really means is they are going through a system that eats its young. I'm sorry, but this system is not meant for the average person to get through easily. But yet we expect them to, and they don't know what to do. They are absolutely knocked off their game. They are not able to think because they have no idea what to expect. What I love about what you do, and we do that too, is we have office hours after their business hours or even before their business hours. Because to your point, what we want to do is take that uncertainty that they have. Give us your top 5 things that are keeping you awake at night.
Yep.
Let's deal with those. So you can go to work and be at the amazing employee that you can without that uncertainty, which is, does that make sense?
Yes, and I've reduced that concept. I love what you said about uncertainty. Yes, I agree with that. And then I've taken that a step farther and I've said, let their work be a respite from divorce. Let that time they spend on their job to be their free time to work. And the only way they can do it is if there's a whole different setup with their divorce team, acknowledging that work is work and divorce can be done in its own time. One of the ingredients in my recipe for a heart healthy divorce is I want to teach people how to compartmentalize time. Now, Vicki, I've been divorced. I think you've been divorced. Anybody who's been divorced gets it. And I think it sets us up to be empathetic and understanding and to revolutionize the approach to divorce. Confidence. You have to confidently understand that when you compartmentalize time, this will work. And you need professionals around you to show you. You must stay strict to that time. So if you say, all right, I'm going to return divorce emails at 7 in the morning or 8 or 9 at night, do it. Do it. You must adhere to your schedule so that everybody else can participate in the communication with you. But compartmentalizing time, I think, is a lifesaver. Now, so too, we just came out of the pandemic, right?
Right.
What do you compartmentalize then? That was a horrifying time of, you're at the scene of the crumbling marriage. You're working from home, helping your kids get through school, and your husband or wife or significant other is at home with you, the person that you're not so enjoying yourself so much with. The litigation was at an all-time high as we came out of the pandemic.
Oh, absolutely. Who knew that putting 2 people together that can't stand each other for the majority of the day together in the same apartment, that one of the things that did happen was, we saw domestic violence rates skyrocket too.
Yeah.
It has led to this discussion. So we were talking about a lack of focus and that level of distraction. Do you notice any similar behaviors in employees that are going through that in their divorce?
I have a client now, and I said to her, once your divorce is over, I need to talk to your employer. She called me and said, my employer told me this morning, I better get this divorce over with now because he can't live through my divorce anymore. And she tried doing it on her own because it's less expensive and anything online becomes the new trend, right?
Right.
I don't think you can do a divorce online unless you are so amicable. You have nothing to divide. You have no kids. You're not even mad at one another. Okay, go ahead and do online. But even the online courses, Vicki, they don't give you every step. There are things they don't tell you that will get your forms rejected at the very end. So I really don't think anybody should go through a divorce on their own with the filing.
Well, I'll tell you, and to your point, I do think that having some guidance and direction in that case, even, I would DIY it. If I didn't have children, there were no major assets or businesses to extricate yourself from. If this, you guys were married for 18 months, there's nothing, to divide, nothing to deal with or manage. But you know what? Even if you did have assets, I think that DIYing it with support is important, just to make sure that you don't screw this up. And that might be, having an attorney or somebody like yourself take a look at it and say, to your point, this is going to fly, or a judge is going to flag this and it's not going to come back.
I know, because there's just little things that nobody talks about, like something we all do normally, and that is we don't provide our names the exact same way on everything.
Right.
Like sometimes I can be a Judy Weigel to somebody, sometimes I can be a Judith Weigel. But on those court forms, little things like your name has to appear on every form the same way, or come the end, you're going to start getting things rejected. Just little points like that will frustrate people. So yeah, using somebody less expensive than an attorney like me, the paralegal on steroids, we have versions of me in many states.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And our goal and our mission is, first of all, we are not, we do not advocate for divorce. We just advocate for it being done right and in a way that doesn't decimate their finances or their mental health, right?
Right.
So, that's ultimately what using services like yours can help them do, is to really help them maintain some dignity and save their mental
Right.
health and their financial health, right?
So I'm going to give everybody a first step, if I may, Vicki, because this is really going to set you in the right direction. There are 2 divorces everybody goes through. There's the emotional divorce and there's the legal divorce. The emotional divorce is the uncoupling process. It's the grieving process. It's the anger, denial, bargaining, reassessment, self-awareness. You have to go through these grief stages in order to think clearly enough. If you have children, if you have significant assets, if something has to be done with the family home, you need to be clear of all that stressful emotion so you can sit down and make these decisions. So if possible, 2 things. Don't file after you decide to get divorced. Chill. If you have to reorganize your households, now there's going to be 2 households. You may want to get somebody in to help you budget. Maybe that's where the divorce coach comes in, to help you budget first, or go to a mediator to lay out all the things you have to do before you file. But get rid of all of the grief as much as possible. And that's about a year.
Yeah.
Already filed, or if you need to file for financial reasons, then take it easy. Don't let anybody force you to go to the next step faster than you're ready to go. Explain to all the legal professionals, I just need to breathe. Give me a month. I will get myself in order. I'll go to a therapist. I'll go to a divorce coach, and then I'll be ready. And then do that work, and your divorce will come out so much better, because here are the reasons why attorneys are hired. And when they're needed, they're needed. First of all,
Oh, and by the way, I want to make sure that we believe in attorneys. Absolutely. We just want the attorneys to do what's right in the best interest of that couple.
Absolutely, because family law, unfortunately, is a minefield of people who see money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there are really great attorneys who are compassionate. I mean, they can't do therapy on you, but they're not going to overcharge you and do things they don't have to do. And then there are other attorneys that just do, or there are some attorneys that just like to fight. And that's not a really cool approach to a divorce. This is a family that's reorganizing themselves. So attorneys are there for 2 reasons. A, to give you legal education. You need to know what you're getting into with the laws of your state, and they're all different. And then number 2, if you really can't communicate with your spouse for very, very real reasons, attorneys will talk to each other for you. That's their value if it's going into what we call a more of a litigated case, and that's where the cost goes up exponentially. But if you need them, you need them. I mean, sometimes the cost is worth it, but be careful how you use attorneys. They're not your therapists.
No, and that's the biggest, I think, mistakes that someone that's going through a divorce can do, is use their $500, $750 an hour attorney as their therapist. And that's why, here at Divorce Right, we want to be your sounding board. We don't want you to have to do that. And we're not going to let you go on and on and on, because at $500 an hour, I can make a lot of money by letting you do that, right?
Yes.
So, that the challenge that I have about the system, and not there are very good attorneys, and I have
Yeah.
a list. I have a book of resources on wonderful attorneys. But there are attorneys that, you know, divorce is one of the only industries that I can think of that not only is there no financial incentive to get it finished, but there's actually a financial incentive to keep it going.
Yeah.
And for those that don't have your employee's best interest at heart, that's an easy thing to do. And it can go by in drips and drabs of $100 here, $500 there, or it can go in drabs of $20,000 here, $30,000 there. It is a real thing. I've seen it. It happened to my friend and neighbor, and I found out about it after the fact, and I was just furious to learn that something that didn't need to happen cost him $30,000.
Yeah.
And it was easy for him to agree to, because he didn't know that it wasn't something that he had to agree to. So if he had right, if he had had that advice, if he had had, the guidance, I'm not going to say advice because we don't give legal advice. But we could say, you know what, I would ask and find out if this is absolutely 100% necessary, and get it verified in another way that doesn't cost that much money. It's a long story. I won't go into it here, but I guess my point is that, with the wrong hands, a vulnerable person, and I don't think that there is anybody more vulnerable than an employee going through a divorce that doesn't know what's going to happen to them.
Absolutely.
Right? They don't know where they're gonna live. They don't know how they're gonna pay their bills. They don't know how they're gonna take care of their child. They are scared. They don't know how to put together a plan. They don't know what this is.
So Vicky, something very interesting and organically going on. I didn't think of it. This is just happening. I guess over the last 6 to 8 months, I'm getting more calls from people who want to mediate first before they file. I think this is a wonderful thing. I never thought that was the right order years ago. I thought you had to start filing, you had to do your disclosure forms, the listing of assets and debts in play, the financial statement that helps you deal with child support, spousal support, or your own budgets. I'm coming around to a different way of thinking now, because if you hire a mediator first, they will show you what you need to do to organize yourself for the filing.
Yes.
They will help you come to at least tentative decisions and budgets, so
Right.
that when you start the filing, the fear is gone. The uncertainty is minimized. Not gone, but
It's not
minimized.
gone, but
Yeah.
when it's like before we had these things, right, where we could get to anywhere in the country, no matter what, you had to remember the maps, right? I'm dating myself, but there used to be these paper things.
Yeah.
They were, you folded them up and you kept them in your glove compartment. And that's the way you had to go. And if I had to drive across country to get to where you are, I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast, my panic level would be through the roof if I didn't have all of those maps, and then be able to read them and figure out if I'm going left or right, all of those crazy things. That's what happens when you tell somebody they wake up in the morning and they're getting a divorce. They've got to drive across the country from North Carolina to California by themselves without a map. They can go online and right? And we're asking them to do things, right?
Okay, that's an excellent metaphor. That's a great visual. And as you were talking, I'm like, I got to use this now with my clients.
Well, that's one of the things that we do. And, I'm going to, tap ourselves and pat ourselves on the back, because we've created a course where people can understand what, first of all, we get them to take care of themselves, right? Do some self-care work first.
Yeah.
Like you said, you really have to be centered and be able to hear and listen, because your brain is just flooded with cortisol. Our newsletter this month, for the month of April, next month, is going to be on the impact of cortisol on behaviors and decision making, because your employees are not themselves in this process. They are scared. They are fearful. They are confused. They are angry. They don't know what to do. So we give them and help them with a plan that's right for them. It's not right. It's not the plan for me. It's not the plan for you. It's the plan that's right for them and for their family, so that they can sit up for a moment and take that breath that they need, so that they don't have to be distracted, because 40% of your employees' productivity goes down the drain while they're going through a divorce. And that is more expensive. For anybody that's out there listening, a divorce is more expensive for your company due to lost productivity and distractions and errors and absences than it is for the employee themselves. So taking care of your employees and helping them get back on track so that they can show up at work at as their best selves, that is a smart return on your investment. And so I wanted to let everybody, if you're out there, if you'd like to speak with us about how we can bring this to your company and get your employees out from up here and into a place where they are settled, have some answers, understand what the path is ahead of them, so they have a plan they can follow, because that's part of the problem, isn't it?
Yes. And for those companies who haven't already spoken to you and started working with your program, or spoken to me, and to the people going through divorce, watching and listening to this podcast now, how's this as an idea, Vicki? Have them go to their human resources department and say, look, I'm about ready to go through a divorce. Do you have any resources for me that I can use? Because one of the dilemmas that I'm finding, and you tell me if you're finding this, is the human resources departments don't know what to do with this.
Yes,
And
they don't.
They don't know what to do. And then divorce is so personal, so intimate. Well, I don't know if we can do anything. I mean, don't they need a therapist? Okay, they need everybody.
You know what? One of the things that we said is that divorce, it's not a legal crisis. It's not a mental health crisis. It's a life crisis. It is an insurance crisis. It is a school crisis, right? It's right. It's a mortgage crisis. It's an immigration. It's like a crisis on so many levels, and that's why, having somebody on your team that is not only, I mean, to be a good divorce coach, by the way, doesn't mean that you've actually been through your own divorce, although I've been through more than one now. But you don't have to understand the process, but more important, the umbrella of all of those professionals that you need. You need, depending upon how complicated your case can be, you can need divorce professionals from across a plethora, including way more than just a family law attorney. Gosh, there's bankruptcy, there's real estate attorneys, tax attorneys, will and estate planning, because you definitely don't want your ex or his mother to be in charge of pulling the plug. So there's a lot of people that have to help you gracefully and with dignity get through this. And we hope that we can be that one. So I want to end this with, ultimately about the impact of divorce on productivity. And I know that you've seen a lot of this. What would do you have any tips for helping get a client, one of their employees back on track?
You mean from my point of view, or the company point of view?
From your point of view, that a company could provide to their divorcing employees. What are some tips?
People like us on board that know both, excuse me, the legal side of divorce, what the process is like in that state, and the emotional side of divorce. I'm not a therapist, but the emotions are in front of me as a mediator all the time. And I don't know that any HR professional is set up to be us, but
No.
companies need us at working with HR to set up programs specific for their companies, resources across the board that their companies can use. So here in town, our big universities are USC, UCLA. Those are the two biggest, right? And I know Cedars-Sinai, one of our biggest hospitals. So they will have out of human resources attorneys in different fields, mediators in different fields, but they don't really vet them, because I've met attorneys that say they're in family law and they're asking me what the next step is to file.
Well,
Really
and also, one of the things that, getting back to all of this is what I said earlier. It's not a legal crisis. It's not an emotional crisis. It's a life crisis. So
Yes.
it takes people that understand that, I'm going to use like a string that you pull over here can impact someone's life over here,
Yes.
and particularly with taxes and properties, taxes and
Oh,
all of that. It
yes.
can be financially really devastating if you don't know what's on the table here. And that's why having incredibly amazing professionals like you. Judy, do me a favor and give us your contact information, your website, your email address if you'd like us to have it, so that people can get in touch with you.
Okay, so my divorce email address is Judy, Judy, at divorceresourceinc.com. Divorceresourceinc.com. The phone number, we use landlines here, 310, that do not take text, by the way, 310-441-7555, 310-441-7555. Happy to help anybody. Yes, I know the laws of California, but I also understand the general process in most states, and mediation works anywhere.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that we have this where the ability to help somebody, even though, we don't as coaches provide legal advice. We don't. But we do provide guidance and direction, and we base that on where you want to go, right?
Yes.
Where I want you to go is not important, right?
Yes, and I also don't cross that line of giving legal advice, but I understand what one thing comes after another. I understand how to read a process in everybody's state. Just so you know, the only thing I won't do is give you your legal rights in that state. But other than that, I'll show you how to research.
Right. Right. It's important. Well, thank you, Judy. Thank you so much for doing this with us today. I just want to remind everybody that we posted the link. If you are a SHRM member, we have SHRM credits for these each and every week. We do them on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We'd love to have you back, Judy. Thank you so much. Anybody else, if you wanted to reach out to us here at Divorce Right, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm Vicki with a Y at divorcerightinc.com. And I look forward to helping you and your firm help your divorcing employees go through a pretty traumatic event. And we want to help them do this with grace and dignity so that they can show up at your place of work as a whole and productive employee. Thank you, Judy. And we will see you all next week.